You married a wheelchair-bound, slightly unhinged Yandere wife. But you abandoned the sweet first love who stayed by your side for 18 years. To everyone else, you were just a heartless, ungrateful jerk. Your parents disowned you completely, but only you knew she was your true love, because in your past life, things went very differently. You simped so hard for Valeria, you basically licked her shoes clean. Finally, she agreed to marry you. But on the wedding day itself, Valeria spiked your wine. She set up a sick, highly infectious trap for you. She hired a sketchy woman to sleep with you, turning you from a rich heir into a hated street rat. Ultimately, your adopted brother Malachi burned you alive. Your parents didn't care about your agonizing death at all, and your 4 sisters actually joked and laughed about it. Inside the villa, your ghost floated right up near the ceiling. Over and over, you screamed out in absolute hysterics. It wasn't me. I never did those horrible things. I was framed. Why won't anyone believe me? But there's no response. No one could see your drifting soul. Just when you're sinking into total despair, watch this, a sudden, massive crash shakes the room. A stunningly beautiful woman in a wheelchair was pushed inside by bodyguards dressed in black. Her expression was cold and aloof, like a peak on an icy mountain, noble and completely untouchable. Even from that wheelchair, her presence radiated the raw power of someone sitting at the very top of the food chain. Staring at her gorgeous, icy face, you felt a strange, sudden sense of familiarity, but you couldn't place her. Meanwhile, the entire Sterling family stared at this intruder in utter confusion. The eldest sister snapped out of her daze and demanded coldly to know why she was barging in without warning. But Serafina lazily looked up, her gaze completely unbothered. She swept her quiet eyes over them. The pure contempt and murderous rage in her voice felt completely physical. Where are his ashes? Instantly, Malachi scoffed. Caspian's ashes were dumped into the ocean a long time ago. An animal like him. Before he could even finish his insults, Serafina's head snapped up with a deadly glare. The very next second, a sickening bone-crushing crack echoed through the room. A bodyguard shattered Malachi's right leg on the spot. He crashed to his knees, his entire face contorting in agony as he tried to shriek in pain. But the guard immediately shoved a nasty, pre-prepared gag right into his mouth. At this, Father Sterling was furious, terrified, and completely panicked all at once. A clear wave of dread washed over him as he asked what she wanted and what she had to do with Caspian. Asking what she was doing, Serafina sneered, a spark of absolute madness and paranoia lighting up her stunning eyes. She declared she was here to get justice for Caspian, rolling her wheelchair right up to Malachi. She grabbed a handful of his hair and violently yanked his head back. This spoiled brat had never felt pain like this, letting out a muffled, pathetic whimper. Serafina's eyes flashed with pure bloodlust. Malachi, you really went through a lot of trouble, didn't you? Having Valeria spike his drink, then plotting to send that sick woman to his room, just to destroy Caspian's reputation. Just as the family opened their mouths to argue, the bodyguard slammed a thick stack of photos right onto Father Sterling's face. Get ready for this reaction. The family looks down, their eyes stretching wide in pure disbelief. There was Malachi stealing company secrets and selling them to rivals. He deliberately faked all the evidence to make Caspian take the fall. Looking closely at these photos, the eldest sister's legs turned to absolute jelly. She collapsed onto the floor as a heavy wave of regret hit her. Did they really frame Caspian? Meanwhile, Serafina stared Malachi down with eyes as sharp as a deadly blade. That car crash was entirely staged by you. You were simply terrified that Caspian would take your spot in the family, so you stopped at nothing to ruin him. His death was no accident. You literally burned him alive. With a sweep of his arm, the bodyguard threw all the files into the air. Papers and photos rained down around them like snow, every single piece showing proof of Malachi's horrible crimes. Staring at the pile of photos, Father Sterling's lips started to tremble. He finally realized they had terribly misjudged you, thinking you had just gone bad. Serafina swept her eyes over the room, her expression dark with absolute fury. Since you Sterlings got your golden child back and treated Caspian like trash if you didn't want him, why didn't you just give him back to me? Serafina's voice was barely a whisper, yet it hit everyone present like a sudden crack of thunder. Father Sterling had tears welling up, and his hands trembled non-stop as he held onto those photos. An instant later, Serafina closes her eyes in deep pain, pressing a dagger against Malachi's neck. Then she cold-bloodedly ordered her men to wipe out the Sterling family and leave absolutely nobody alive. One fierce slash of the blade, and Malachi crumbles to the ground, never to stand again. Right away, agonizing, blood-curdling screams echoed through the halls of the mansion, but a chilling silence quickly swallowed the entire place. Floating mid-air, you stare down at Serafina. Who is she, and why avenge you? Why is she showing you so much love? Watch as her bodyguard pushes her wheelchair up to the second floor, leading to a scene that will break your heart. Within seconds, she arrives right inside your old bedroom. She pulls out a photograph of you, caressing it with so much care, like it's the absolute most precious thing in existence. Closing her eyes, her usually freezing expression softens with a rare warmth as she whispers that she has finally arrived for Caspian. She blames her own lateness for not protecting you, asking if you were in pain, but promises it is okay now. Choosing to join you right this second, Serafina personally sets the bedroom curtains ablaze. Instantly, a massive inferno erupts all around the room, yet she just sits there peacefully in her wheelchair, staring into the growing flames. Just as the vicious flames are about to reach her, a single clear tear spills from her eye. She whispers to the heavens that if there are gods who control life, she is willing to trade her entire soul as a sacrifice, to burn in the deepest pits of hell for eternity. All she wants is for Caspian to be completely safe in his next life. You watch in absolute horror as this stunning woman gets consumed by the raging fire. A crushing feeling of complete helplessness washes over your entire soul. Your hands scramble to pull her away, but you grab nothing but empty air. No! The flames roar upward, swallowing her beautiful face in a bright crimson flash. You scream out with all your strength and suddenly sit straight up in a panic. Breathing heavily, you look around at your familiar bedroom. Your back is completely soaked in freezing sweat. What is going on? While your head is spinning in total confusion, the phone on your nightstand suddenly goes off. Ding dong! You check the screen, and your eyes go completely wide. The screen instantly turns pitch black, and glowing white text appears, calling you a lucky reincarnator and claiming to be an awakened god. It tells you to finish its missions to rewrite your tragic and unjust death. A god? Suddenly, you remember that mysterious woman who chose to bury herself in the raging flames, giving up her very soul without a second thought, all to keep you safe in this next life. Serafina. You whisper her name, and an agonizing, stinging ache spreads across your chest like 1,000 biting ants. You vow to track her down, no matter what. The Sterling family raised you for over 20 years as their own son, but you already paid them back with your life once. In this new beginning, you won't waste another second begging for their love. A cold glare flashes in your eyes. Right then, the phone buzzes with a new directive, ordering you to publicly humiliate Valeria and call off your engagement. Just reading Valeria's name makes your heart freeze with raw hatred. Previously, the entire Sterling family looked down on you as a massive disappointment. They labeled you a backstabbing, heartless monster who betrayed them. Only Valeria pretended to support you, extending a hand and offering to marry you. Yet you had absolutely no clue that her kindness was just an elaborate trap. This time around, system or not, you are absolutely throwing this wedding in the trash. Someone shouts outside, calling for little Caspian because Valeria is already here and asking why he's hiding in his room. While you ponder your next move, a loud knock rattles the door. Your eldest sister, Aurelia, is standing right out in the hallway. She bangs on the wood twice more, but hears absolutely zero movement from inside. Right then, Malachi strolls over with a smirk, whispering that little Caspian was probably up all night throwing cash at spicy cam girls. He quickly backtracks, claiming he meant Caspian was just working late, then asks Big Sister if they should give him some more time. This act seems like defense, but Aurelia is sharp. As a brilliant business prodigy, she easily reads between the lines of his fake slip of the tongue. Instantly, the eldest sister's eyes grow incredibly cold. She sneers, disgusted that a young master of their prestigious family would spend his night wasting money on cheap internet girls. You are about to get married, Caspian. Do you even care about this engagement? Valeria is waiting downstairs this very second. This behavior is getting completely ridiculous. Just as Aurelia raised her hand, ready to knock much harder, you swung the door open, staring back at them with a completely blank face. Right then, a sharp flash of pure envy darted through Malachi's eyes, but his fake smile never slipped. Brother, you are finally awake. If you took any longer, our parents would have lost their minds. You just threw an icy glare his way, calmly handing a flash drive over to your angry older sister. Big sister, this is for you. I know your company is starting to develop a brand new project. I happen to understand this industry pretty well, so I stayed awake all night preparing some notes for you. It should help with your research and development. Your casual explanation is simple, but those few words make your eldest sister's eyes widen in absolute shock. Did my little brother really stay up all night just to help me? Have I completely misjudged him? Aurelia instantly feels a sudden surge of guilt, telling you that you are incredibly thoughtful. In truth, you finished that drive ages ago, and honestly, looking back, the drama is insane in your past life. Malachi's toxic gossip made your sister despise you. Because of his lies, you never got to hand her this drive before your tragic death. Standing nearby and witnessing this, Malachi feels his burning hatred for you grow even deeper. Right then, you turn your gaze toward him, giving your brother a cold, mocking smirk. Brother, since you are the real young master of the family, you should use your free time to learn useful skills and actually support our sisters. Do not just assume that staying awake past midnight means watching cam girls. Leaving him speechless, you do not even wait for his response and walk straight downstairs. The whole Sterling household, along with Valeria, are already waiting there. Spotting you, your father scowls in pure anger, demanding to know what is wrong with you on your own engagement day for being so incredibly late. He points out how long Valeria has been waiting, but she quickly plays the sweet innocent role. It is my fault for arriving so early and ignoring the schedule. Please do not blame Caspian. She acts like the perfect, loving future wife. Delighted by this, your mother praises her, claiming that marrying Valeria is the ultimate blessing from your past life, and urging you to thank her immediately. She even came all this way to pick you up. Hearing this, you laugh bitterly inside. More like she came to destroy you. In your past life, she was the one who spiked your drink at this exact banquet. You woke up in some random hotel room next to a highly infected woman, and got caught by both families. At that moment, you had absolutely no way to explain yourself or defend your ruined reputation. You had to take all the blame. You even spent years believing you wronged her, constantly trying to make up for a mistake you never actually made. Only when those two backstabbers killed you did you learn the truth. You stare deeply at her now, saying you should thank her properly. Staring into your sharp gaze, she suddenly feels uncomfortable and looks away. She gets a fleeting feeling that you somehow know her entire plot, but she quickly brushes it off. There is no way. Caspian is just a hopeless simp who is far too obsessed to ever doubt her. No way he suspects anything, she thinks. Watch as she steps up with a fake smile to grab your arm. Caspian, let us head out. We still have a few details to arrange for our big celebration. But right then, you suddenly stop her in her tracks. While everyone watches in total shock, you push her hands away, brushing off your suit with a look of pure disgust. Her smile instantly freezes. Behind her, the rest of the family just stares at you in complete confusion. Your father immediately frowns, demanding to know what could possibly be more important than your own wedding. You slowly raise your head, a cold smile forming as you look directly at her. I am officially canceling our engagement. The entire room instantly falls into absolute shock. Nobody can believe what they just heard. Naturally, Valeria is the very first one to react. Stunned at first, her disbelief quickly morphs into pure rage and humiliation as her face turns bright red, her voice dripping with ice. Caspian, what kind of sick joke is this? But you only stare back with freezing eyes. Do I look like I am joking? I, Caspian, do not love you anymore, and this engagement is officially over. Hearing this, Valeria froze as if struck by lightning, while the Sterling family gasped in absolute shock. Taking a deep breath, Valeria fought to keep her dignity and finally spoke. She told him that so many people chased her without getting a second glance, but she would still give him one final chance. Just give her a proper apology, and they could pretend none of this ever happened. Right then, Father Sterling scowled deeply and yelled, demanding to know what kind of crazy pill you had taken. Did you think an engagement was a game, Caspian? How did you turn into this? Ever since Malachi returned to the Sterling family, you had done nothing but throw tantrums, changing so much your father cannot recognize you. Seeing your blank stare, Valeria glared right through you and delivered a cold, final ultimatum. Fine, Caspian, we are completely done. Once this is broken, even if you kneel and beg her to come back in the future, she will never look your way. Without giving anyone a chance to speak, she spun around with a face full of fury and stormed off in her high heels. She was completely confident in her heart. She believed that before she counted to 3, you, the helpless simp who always treated her like gold, would beg her to stay. But after waiting 2.5 minutes in total silence, she realized you were not chasing her, and she absolutely lost her mind. She cursed furiously inside. What kind of stupid, dramatic game were you trying to play with her anyway? With a dark, bitter look on her face, she swore you would never have her again, before walking away for good. Back inside the villa, things were about to get incredibly ugly as Father Sterling stood there, absolutely shaking with silent rage. Your mother spoke up, claiming she never used to believe that genetics dictated character. She thought she raised you right, but in the end, she was wrong. You do not even carry their blood. Your core genetics are rotten, she said, asking if you had not caused enough chaos already. Hearing her talk about genetics felt downright hilarious to you, though your eyes filled with deep sorrow as you looked at the parents who raised you. You asked her if she would even believe you. If you explained that Valeria's engagement was just a trap, would she believe you if you said all those past mistakes were just malicious lies designed to frame you? Instead of answering, your mother just looked at you with pure disappointment, turning away to shed bitter tears. Your 4 sisters wanted to speak, but stayed completely silent, while Father Sterling stared at you with absolute, blazing fury. His expression was so dark it was absolutely terrifying. Trembling with rage at your complete failure to change, he roared that you were a vile spawn who truly refused to repent. He ordered you to either go beg Valeria to come back, or pack your things and roll right out of the family. They did not need a worthless bastard son like you, he barked, making you laugh out of sheer, bitter frustration. You agreed to leave, noting how 20 years of love meant nothing compared to the 2 years since Malachi returned. From this moment on, you declared, you had absolutely no connection to them. With stinging, red eyes, you turned your back on them and walked straight out of the hall with large strides. He never expected you to leave so easily. His face twisted in rage as he pointed a shaking finger at you, screaming that you were a heartless monster. How could you be so cold? He shouted, while Malachi stood in the crowd, hiding a smug, victorious grin. He quickly rushed to your father's side, fake comforting him and telling him not to be so angry. He whispered that Caspian was just acting out, and would probably crawl back soon anyway. And just like that, you walk out into the cold, completely alone, with tears uncontrollably surging down your face. You had already faced this exact betrayal in your past life, yet the pain still stabbed deep into your chest. Suddenly, your heart raced. A strange, magnetic force made you stop right in your tracks. A heavy scent of fresh blood, mixed with a chillingly sweet fragrance, suddenly drifted past your nose. You stepped toward the dark corner and your pupils shrank as you spotted a gorgeous woman in black, unconscious on the ground. Even against the dark fabric, you could see warm blood completely soaking through her clothes. Dark hair hid her beautiful face, showing only a pale, delicate jawline, and you realized it was her. You flew to her side like an arrow, locking her in your arms as your voice started shaking with sheer panic. Is that really you? You gently brushed the stray hair away from her forehead. Her once beautiful, pale skin is completely drained of color, sending a sharp, agonizing stab right through your chest. Did you actually come here to the Sterling estate just to find me? Why are you bleeding this badly? Seeing that most of the blood is pooling around her legs, you instinctively reach down to check on her, but suddenly, her eyes snap wide open, and a chilling, blood-red glare flashes across her stunning face. Her left hand whips around to grab your wrist, while her other hand instantly locks right onto your throat. The move is blindingly fast. No room to struggle. You just gasp out her name. Hearing your voice makes her freeze up instantly, and her iron grip on your neck immediately falls away. She stares deep into your eyes with a look of pure shock and complex emotion. Caspian, do not do it, she mutters. Do not do what? Your heart inexplicably goes numb, but she has already passed out cold again. You react instantly. Catching her, you pull her back into your close embrace. Right now, you do not care about anything else. You roll up her pant leg. You see her slender legs are covered in horrific wounds. One cut is terrifyingly deep, looking like a blade sliced right through her tendons. Suddenly, a memory from your past life flashes back when you saw Serafina then. She was in a wheelchair. Is this terrible injury why she was paralyzed in your past life? It makes complete sense. Just then, a sharp rush of wind cuts through the air behind you, and you instinctively throw your body over Serafina to shield her. Who is there? But seeing your face, the attacking bodyguard suddenly freezes, whispering, "It is you. You know who I am?" You glare at this completely unfamiliar woman, demanding answers with a deep frown. She does not reply. Instead, she just stares down at Serafina, her expression filled with pure pity and helplessness. She lets out a heavy sigh, whispering, "Miss, why did you have to go this far, traveling days and nights with these brutal wounds just to see him get engaged to Valeria? Do you not care about your own life at all?" The bodyguard looks like she is holding back, but now is definitely not the time to pry into family secrets. You urgently cut her off, save the explanation for later. We need to get Serafina to a hospital right now. Hearing your shout, the bodyguard suddenly snaps back to her senses. Pulling her from your arms, she gives you an icy glare, warning you that an engaged man has no right to call her by her name. She warns you to stay far away from her mistress. In the blink of an eye, she is already standing 10 meters away with her. Staring at their retreating figures, you shout out that you canceled the engagement. Who exactly is she, and why does she care this much? The bodyguard instantly stops, her eyes wide with total disbelief. Cancelled it? So what? She simply refuses to believe you would actually sever your tie with Valeria. Watching her fade away, your chest aches with a heavy, crushing pain. Seriously, how much more can our guy actually take? But whatever, you will track her down. You head over to a nearby hotel and check into a suite. Meanwhile, inside the Chu family estate, Serafina is now resting in a clean white dress. Warm sunlight pours over her pale, porcelain-like skin. Her faint blue veins are visible, and high-tech medical machines keep beeping steadily in the quiet room. Her severely injured legs are hoisted up, as she softly mutters, "Caspian, please do not leave me." She tightly grips the bedsheets, murmuring with a deeply pained expression on her face. Suddenly, her eyes snap open. She looks around the familiar bedroom, frowns for a brief second, and quickly forces her face back into a calm mask. "Miss, you are awake." Hearing her move, the bodyguard rushes right over with tears of joy, saying she will call the doctor back. But Serafina coldly tells her not to. She stops her assistant with a simple gesture, looking down with a dark, completely unreadable look. Her very first question is actually about your situation. knowing today was supposed to be your engagement to Valeria. Why was he with me when I fainted? She asks, her voice carrying a strange, almost desperate spark of hope. Did something go wrong with his big day after all? The bodyguard freezes, her eyes turning red as she softly tries to warn her. With your family background and incredible status, why do you insist on throwing yourself away on a nobody like Caspian? If he had not delayed your medical treatment back then, you would not even be stuck in this wheelchair today. He is just an adopted son, a total fake young master of the Sterling family. Is he really worth your? But before she could finish, Serafina glared right at her. Her narrow, stunningly beautiful eyes instantly filled to the brim with icy, pure, murderous rage. A cold shiver ran down the bodyguard's spine as she quickly bowed her head, apologizing for overstepping her bounds. Serafina did not care about her own painful injuries at all, keeping her beautiful face completely blank and cold. What exactly happened to the Sterling family while I was out cold? The bodyguard hurriedly explained that Caspian and Valeria never got engaged, and the Sterlings had already announced it to the public. Hearing this, the ice on Serafina's face melted as her lips curled into a gorgeous smile, her heart secretly bursting with joy. Caspian actually canceled the engagement. Could he finally look her way? She had been waiting for him for such a long time. Right away, she ordered her bodyguard to have Uncle Balthazar act as her elder and deliver a formal marriage proposal to the Sterling family. I want Caspian. Her voice was soft, but the absolute determination struck like a sudden thunderclap, freezing the bodyguard in place as she gasped in utter disbelief. Serafina's gaze narrowed with undeniable authority, making it clear that she simply needed to do exactly as she was told. The bodyguard agreed immediately. Now check out Serafina. She just leans back, a triumphant smile spreading across her lips. Caspian, she thought, this time I am never letting go of your hand again. Meanwhile, back at the Sterling villa, the butler came running inside like his tail was on fire, shouting that the city's richest man, Balthazar, had arrived. This sudden news left him stunned. You see, the Balthazar family was one of the top 3 elite powerhouses, while the Sterlings were barely a low-level, third-rate household. There was simply no comparing them to a top-tier clan. Snapping out of his shock, Father Sterling scrambled to organize a proper welcome. But before he could even make it out the front door, a booming laugh echoed from the courtyard. Patriarch Sterling, there is no need to be formal. Please excuse my unannounced visit today. Right on cue, a kind-faced, elegant middle-aged man walked inside, looking pretty young and followed by dozens of sharp bodyguards in black. They carried massive, bright red chests. Feeling incredibly tense, Father Sterling nervously asked Mr. Balthazar what exactly had brought such a legendary figure to their humble home. I am here today to propose a marriage to your son on behalf of a very special lady. The second those words left his mouth, a dozen red chests flew open, flooding the entire room with a blinding golden light. They were packed to the brim with insanely expensive luxury treasures, a ridiculous display of wealth that completely stunned every single Sterling in the room. Can you blame them for staring at those red chests in absolute, jaw-dropping shock? Before Father Sterling could even find his voice, Balthazar smiled. He explained that he was there to offer a marriage proposal on behalf of Miss Chu, apologizing that because things were rushed, the gifts were not quite grand enough. All he asked was for their forgiveness, promising to make up for the rest once they officially married. Then, he turned his head and locked eyes with Malachi, asking if he was indeed the young master of the Sterling family. Hearing the question, Malachi quickly ripped his greedy eyes away from the dazzling proposal gifts. He flashed a fake, flattering smile and asked if Balthazar was proposing to him on behalf of his own daughter. Furthermore, he wondered who Miss Chu was, leaving Balthazar completely dumbfounded by the kid's sheer confusion. Did he really not know who the lady was? Confused, Balthazar turned to Father Sterling and asked if this was his only son. Still holding a petty grudge against Caspian, Father Sterling quickly lied and confirmed that Malachi was indeed his only son. Balthazar frowned, wondering if this arrogant punk knew about Miss Chu's leg injury and was just pretending to be completely clueless. With that in mind, Balthazar looked at Malachi, his voice dropping into a slightly threatening tone. He warned the kid to think carefully, mentioning that he only came personally because he owed Miss Chu some major favors. Even though Miss Chu's legs are currently crippled, with modern advanced medicine, there's a good chance she could stand up again. If that happens, you would not even stand a chance of chasing her. A warning that made Malachi's face turn ugly. He originally thought he was about to hit the jackpot, but being forced to marry a crippled woman? Absolutely out of the question. Before his father could even speak, Malachi quickly smiled and politely rejected the offer. Mr. Balthazar, I know you mean well, but I have absolutely zero history with this Miss Chu, and honestly, I have no clue why she would even fancy me. He says if he truly loved someone, she could be paralyzed or in a coma, and he would protect her forever, a speech dripping in pure, disgusting hypocrisy. Balthazar gives Malachi a long, cold look, then orders the bodyguards standing nearby. Since the Sterling family refuses, let's pack up and leave. Hearing this, Malachi stares greedily at those shiny red chests. Quickly, putting on a fake show of complete sincerity, he addresses Balthazar once more, claiming that although they aren't meant to be, he still wants to thank her. He asks for her contact info. Expressing his gratitude in person is all he wants, but this request only makes Balthazar's eyes turn icy cold. A soft, mocking laugh escapes his lips as he lazily tosses out a single line dripping with pure disdain. You have absolutely no idea what you just threw away. In this lifetime, you are not even worthy of breathing the same air. Without another glance at the family, he turns on his heel and walks out. Malachi's fake smile instantly freezes solid. A strange, sudden emptiness hollows out his chest, while his father still has absolutely no clue what is actually happening. He assumes Balthazar is just some arrogant snob, bringing a crippled girl's proposal to insult their family. Too insulting. He smiles, telling Malachi not to worry because he will find him a better match, so come to the office. The business has a massive bidding project coming up. From now on, the entire Sterling legacy rests on his shoulders. Hearing this, Malachi's dark mood completely vanishes. An uncontrollable grin spreads across his face as he quickly thanks his father. Early the next morning, you pull out your laptop, opening up a browser to search for any shred of information on Serafina. But the search engine yields absolutely nothing. It's as if she never even existed. Too clean. For someone of her massive background and status to be completely untraceable is highly suspicious. The only possibility is that highly advanced hacking techniques were used to scrub her entire existence. Luckily for us, our main character is a legendary hacker himself. Cracking into the city's private real estate database, you quickly strike gold. Her address is located in the most exclusive luxury villa district. It is a quiet, incredibly expensive neighborhood where land is worth its weight in gold. This is her home. Suddenly, the memory of her pale, suffering face and bleeding legs flashes in your mind, making your heart ache. Just then, your phone buzzes. A line of glowing white text floats across the dark screen. Complete the God's quest, marry Serafina. Seeing this, you gasp in disbelief. She saved you in your past life, but you have no clue what she thinks of you now. Well, whatever. You owe her. Meanwhile, back at her estate, Serafina gets the news of the Sterling family's rejection. She instantly flies into a furious rage, squeezing the glass in her hand until it forcefully explodes into tiny shards. Her female bodyguard gasps in absolute horror, rushing forward to desperately pry open Serafina's tightly clenched fist. Shards of sharp glass are buried deep in her pale palm, warm blood pouring out endlessly. Completely hollow, Serafina's blank eyes look as if she does not feel any pain at all. Lifting her dark, chilling eyes, she grabs the guard's shoulder, demanding to know why he rejected her. The guard winces from the grip, looking up to meet Serafina's bloodshot, crimson eyes, guessing that he still cannot let go of Valeria. Hearing this name, Serafina's voice turns hoarse and manic, sounding like a demon ready to trigger a bloodbath. He is mine. Caspian will only ever be mine. Before the guard can even move, Serafina suddenly sits up, reaching to tear off the medical rig supporting her paralyzed legs, leaving the guard absolutely terrified. Her face turns pale. Frantically holding her back, she cries that her legs are not healed. If you stand up now, you will never walk again. But Serafina just snarls, asking if she even cares. I gave up everything to get back to him. Without him, there is no point in living. Her voice rises, her bloodshot eyes filled with a terrifying, paranoid madness, as an oppressive aura suffocates the entire room. Telling her to get lost with a cold look, she forcefully rips her legs down from the medical rig. It is a brutal, careless movement. Disregarding the pain, she drags herself out of bed. Right in that moment, the wounds she just got treated for ripped wide open again. Crimson blood quickly soaked right through her clean white bandages. But before she could react, the butler knocked on the door. The butler asked if Caspian should come in, leaving her mind completely blank for a second. Panicking, she quickly ordered her bodyguard to wrap her hand up fast so he would not notice anything. Just 2.5 minutes later, you walked into the room carrying a bouquet of flowers, finding her lying there on the sickbed. Even though you had barely met her, an intense wave of familiarity washed right over you. Your chest tightened with a strange, sharp ache as you gently handed her the ice blue roses you brought along. You told her you came to see how she was doing and offered the flowers, but she just stared in silence. 10 whole seconds ticked by without a single word from her, making the entire room feel completely frozen. With your heart racing, you nervously asked if she disliked them and what kind of flowers she actually preferred. You offered to go buy them right away, but the moment you turned, she suddenly grabbed you by the hand. Her touch was slightly cool, carrying that familiar faint scent, prompting the female bodyguard to quietly excuse herself. Once the guard stepped outside, Serafina quickly took the roses from your grip, her cold expression softening with a hint of warmth. She murmured that she loved them simply because they came from you. But then talk about a sudden mood swing, her eyes snapped to yours as she demanded to know why you rejected her. She asked if you still loved Valeria, leaving you totally confused. Reject what exactly? She explained she sent a marriage proposal to the Sterlings and asked why you refused. Seeing her intense stare, you realized what happened and quickly explained that you knew nothing because you cut ties with that family. Over 20 years of shared history apparently meant nothing compared to the true heir who returned just 2 years ago. Once the air was cleared, Serafina's tense expression completely melted away as she looked deep into your eyes. With a faint flash of possessiveness in her eyes, she offered to help you. She said the Sterling's fate depended entirely on your word, prompting you to ask why she wanted to help. After hesitating for a moment, you finally asked the burning question, why was she treating you so well? And how did you even know each other? Which immediately made Serafina's breathing turn incredibly tight. She asked how you knew her name if you forgot everything, leaving you completely speechless. You could not exactly confess to having memories of a past life, but then she suddenly grabbed your tie. Feeling her warm breath close by, she demanded that you marry her and promise never to leave. You agreed as your breath caught in your throat. Memories of her being swallowed by a sea of fire in your past life came rushing back. This incredibly devoted woman had literally burned her own soul across multiple lifetimes just to keep you safe in this one. Deep heartache showed in your eyes. You asked her rather helplessly why she was stealing your lines when you were still too weak. You confessed you could not protect her yet, but promised to work hard, become her shield, and cherish her forever. And just when things were getting good and you leaned in for a kiss, boom, the phone ruins the moment. Coughing slightly, you stood up to answer a call reminding you of an interview at Zenith Corporation. The caller wanted to know if you were still planning to show up. Hearing that name made Serafina react. Zenith was the very company Malachi falsely accused you of selling trade secrets to back in your previous life. You had planned to tie the knot with Serafina first before settling any scores. But she unexpectedly cut in, urging you to go and promising she would support whatever you chose to do. She promised to arrange everything, so you told the caller you would be right over. You confirmed you would be there immediately. Hanging up, you silently stared down at the breathtakingly beautiful woman resting on the hospital bed. There was so much you wanted to ask, but it ultimately dissolved into a silent, mutual understanding. You wanted Malachi completely ruined, and you wanted the Sterling family to live in agonizing regret forever. Serafina gave you a solid nod, promising to make whatever you desired a reality. After saying your goodbyes, you headed out for the interview as she watched you leave and closed her eyes. A dark, obsessive madness swirled around her as she whispered that she had finally given you your chance. You are the one who forced your way into my world. Now, even if you die, I am never letting you go. Right then, the female bodyguard stepped forward, unable to keep quiet. Miss, if you actually get with Caspian, forget about the master. The clan will never allow this. Caspian's life is on the line, and yours is too. Before she finished, Serafina's cold eyes snapped wide open, a crimson light flashing deep within her glare. Her icy voice carried nothing but pure, unadulterated murderous intent. I have already given up so much. If Caspian loses even a single hair, every last one of them will pay with their lives. Realizing Serafina would not budge, the bodyguard quickly shut her mouth. But then, she suddenly remembered something. Caspian has already gone directly to Zenith Corp for his interview. Did you complete the tasks I assigned to you? Hearing her question, the bodyguard quickly said the orders were already sent. We are putting Caspian in as the general manager of Zenith. But Serafina glared and snapped he is the new chairman. That response left the bodyguard frozen right on the spot before quickly snapping out of her daze. She quickly promised to process the documents. Meanwhile, you followed the address straight to Zenith. Just as you stepped inside the building, a pretty sharp female voice called out from behind you. Well, look who it is, young Master Sterling. What brings you here? You frowned at the tone and turned around to see a woman dressed in formal office wear. It was Beatrice, Valeria's best friend and a deputy manager at Zenith. Before Malachi showed up, Beatrice used to smother you with incredibly fake concern all the time. But the moment you fell from status, she turned nasty. You did not even give her a look, casually replying that you were just there to apply for a job. Hearing that, Beatrice burst into a nasty, mocking sneer. I heard the actual heir, the real Master Sterling, is already interning at the family company. So why are you out here begging for a job yourself? You completely ignored her, walked straight to the desk to grab a temporary badge, and walked right past her to the elevator. Suddenly, Beatrice realized something. Beatrice rushed over to the front desk and demanded to know what job that guy was applying for. The receptionist shook her head. He did not say, but management hiring ended hours ago. Right now, he is probably just trying to get some basic entry-level job. Just look at her, that nasty sneer on her face gets even worse now. A second later, she whipped out her phone to text Valeria. I just ran into Caspian over at Zenith. He is actually here trying to get a regular low-level job. Reading this, Valeria felt a sudden jolt in her chest. She felt a strange, nagging sense of unease, like you were somehow sliding completely out of her grasp. But soon, she smiled to herself again. If Caspian actually wanted to cut me off, why would he let Beatrice see him here? It is all just a game to get my attention, to win me back. The guy truly will stop at nothing. Meanwhile, you had absolutely no idea how badly Valeria was twisting your actual intentions in her head. Following Serafina's directions, you headed right to the main office. Suddenly, a secretary walked up and announced all the paperwork was fully complete. You are officially the new chairman of Zenith Corp. Those words hit like a physical shockwave, making your mind go totally numb. You knew Serafina was powerful, but this was insane. Talk about a major power move. She just handed you a mega corporation on a silver platter. You honestly thought she would just slide you into some basic supervisor role. Once you learned the company's structure, you went to find Serafina. But the second you stepped outside, a familiar voice called your name, Caspian. Without even turning around, you knew exactly who was standing behind you. You turned around with deep annoyance. Valeria, what do you want now? Why are you looking at me like that? Yet right on cue, a highly confident, smug smile returned to her face as she thought of something. Stop pretending, she said. I already know everything. You simply raised an eyebrow, staring back at her in complete, genuine confusion. With you refusing to play along, Valeria grew annoyed. Beatrice told me everything. You applying for a job here at Zenith? Come on. Is this not just your desperate way of playing hard to get? Trying to make me chase you by acting hot and cold, right? Well, I heard your fourth sister's hospital just got a new batch of special enhancement cream. Bring me a bottle of that, and I will happily overlook your little stunt of calling off our engagement. I am willing to forgive your ridiculous tantrum. Meanwhile, sitting in a nearby car, Serafina was staring directly at your back. Her fingers dug hard into the genuine leather car seat, knuckles turning completely white from the sheer force. Those unhealed wounds tore wide open again. Fresh blood began dripping drop by drop straight through her fingers. Miss, do you want me to get rid of Valeria? The bodyguard stared at Serafina's bleeding hand with absolute heartache, a sudden flash of pure murderous intent crossing her eyes. No words from Serafina, just a cold stare. Honestly, she had waited for this moment for far too long. After finally getting you to agree to get the marriage license, Serafina ignored her severely battered body and forced her driver to rush to the company. All this just to grab you and head back to the Sterling house for your registration papers so you could tie the knot immediately. She couldn't wait, not even one day, but she never expected to run into Valeria right here. If you broke your promise, let's just say she was ready to completely eliminate anyone standing in her way. Of course, you had no idea this was happening. You just stood there listening to Valeria, a pretty cold, mocking smirk pulling at your lips. You seriously couldn't fathom how you ever tolerated her in the past. She was obviously the one begging to get back together, yet she still acted like she was somehow superior. Curling your lips, you told her flat out, Valeria, I will say this one last time, our engagement is completely over. I have absolutely zero interest in you right now, and my visit here to Zenith Corp has absolutely nothing to do with you. Quit being so full of yourself, alright? Stop acting like you are some kind of universally adored main character of the world. Are you even worthy? Your stare was completely blank, carrying absolutely no emotion at all. Without caring about her reaction at all, you just spun around and walked away. Valeria froze on the spot, her face twisting in pure rage at those words. She never dreamed you would speak to her so harshly. Watching your retreating back, she finally snapped, screaming that Caspian had successfully pushed her too far. She yelled that this was your absolute last chance, but you didn't even look back as you kept walking forward. Right then, a massive stretched Lincoln limousine pulled right up next to you and threw its door open. Catching sight of the person inside, you froze. It took a solid 3 seconds to snap out of it and climb in, but Valeria saw everything. Through the open door, she caught a glimpse of an ethereally cold, incredibly beautiful face. The woman looked completely calm, showing absolutely no hint of joy or anger. She simply looked up and glanced at Valeria once, sending a wave of suffocating, terrifying dread right through her. The door slammed shut, and you sped off in the massive Lincoln, leaving a deeply frustrated Valeria clenching her fists in anger. Deep down, she convinced herself you were only brushing her off because you found some other random woman. Instantly, a heavy wave of toxic jealousy and pure denial completely flooded Valeria's heart. Absolutely unacceptable. Even if she threw you away, you still belonged solely to her. But get this, her delusional brain kicks in, and she actually starts laughing out loud. Caspian must just be mad at me, she thought. So he hired some model to try and make me jealous. He has loved me for years. There's no way he could actually say such mean things to me, right? She convinced herself Caspian was just playing silly mind games to get her attention, instantly regaining her confidence with a fierce look of determination in her eyes. Meanwhile, the moment you climbed inside the car, you caught a faint whiff of fresh blood. Your face instantly fell as your eyes darted to Serafina's bleeding hand. Genuinely panicked, You grabbed her hand and yelled at the bodyguard in the front seat to hand over some bandages immediately. Without showing a single bit of emotion, the bodyguard handed them back to you. You quickly wrapped up her injuries, completely missing the deeply unsettling look the bodyguard was giving you. Seeing how worried you were, the dark tension after a long silence, she softly asked if you had really thought this through and wanted to marry her. Wondering if you would regret it, you stopped wrapping her hand, slowly raising your head to look her in the eyes. You saw the panic, hidden deep beneath her icy exterior. Your heart ached terribly for her. Without a second thought, you took her uninjured hand and held it flat against your chest. Serafina, don't you get it? The one who is desperately rushing to get married here. The person who wants to lock you to my side forever? It isn't you, it's me. Right then, Serafina grabbed your arm and urgently pulled you in for a deep kiss. She kisses you with a wild, dominant hunger, as if finally grabbing the one thing she has desperately craved her entire life. The moment it ends, Serafina puts back on her cold, untouchable mask, but she cannot fully hide the sheer joy in her voice as she commands, "Now we go get your household register." Then we head straight to the marriage office. You hold her and laugh. Even if we get the papers now, the registry office is closed. How about tomorrow? She gives you an intense, piercing look, her eyes shining with pure devotion. No need, I will handle it. Caspian, she whispers, I cannot wait another second. Hearing that completely melts your heart. So this is what it actually feels like to cherish someone. You realize how blind you were, thinking endless, painful sacrifices would ever make Valeria care about you. Soon, you take the car straight back to the Sterling family mansion. You jump out of the car, rushing inside, and you can tell a storm is brewing. Stepping into the hallway, Malachi's smug, sarcastic voice suddenly drifts from the living room. Third sister, I cannot say for sure. I saw your research formula at Valeria's house. I bet my little brother stole your cream just to win her over. Who knows, once this chaos settles down, he might try getting back with her again. Hearing this, your father's face turns completely black with rage as he growls out that useless, wicked spawn. No wonder he suddenly acted tough and wanted to leave this family. He knew he messed up and felt guilty. The third sister, Celeste, is pretty hesitant at first, but Malachi's toxic whispers slowly get inside her head. She closes her eyes, feeling completely disappointed. Suddenly, your lazy, mocking voice echoes from the doorway. Malachi, this pathetic little game of yours. You really play this sneaky role to perfection. Your little brother is honestly in awe. Everyone in the room immediately turns around to look at you. Seeing your face, your father's anger absolutely explodes. You ungrateful brat, did you steal Celeste's formula? She spent 3 whole months pouring blood, sweat, and tears into that, even moving her entire lab home. Standing nearby, Malachi pretends to look deeply hurt, pleading, Caspian, I only exposed you for your own good. If you do not fix these bad habits now, you will end up doing something far worse later. Staring at his disgustingly fake concern, you just smirk, letting a look of pure contempt wash over your face. Unfortunately, your gullible father falls for the act, hook, line, and sinker, pointing a finger at you. You worthless boy, if Malachi had not caught you today, we would still be completely fooled by your lies. Apologize to Celeste and Malachi right now, or I swear I will show you absolutely zero mercy today. You hear the clear threat of police action in his voice, but you are not remotely intimidated. Instead, you respond with a calm, cold tone. Since nobody here believes me, let's make a bet. If anyone can actually prove I took it, I will gladly go to prison. Then, you turn your gaze to Malachi. But if you are wrong, you will beg for my forgiveness, go to the police, and confess to everything you framed me for. Excitement flashes in Malachi's eyes, but he quickly hides it behind another wave of fake hesitation before agreeing. Caspian, I do not want to do this, but you need to learn your lesson before it is too late. I'm doing this for your own good. Saying that, he pulls out a flash drive and plugs it into his laptop. Glancing over at you with a smug, dark grin, he slides the open screen right in front of Celeste. Because I sleepwalk, he explains. I set up a camera outside my room to monitor myself, but watch what happens next. Quite coincidentally, my third sister set up her lab right across the hall. So it caught everything. With a quick double click, the video begins to play on the screen. On the monitor, a shadowy figure is seen sneaking out of Celeste's private laboratory. The person looks incredibly panicked, like they just committed a major crime, and that person is definitely you. Watching this, the entire family looks completely disgusted. To them, you are just a hopeless thief who will never, ever change. Your father slams his fist onto the table and roars, you worthless, lying son. The undeniable proof is staring us right in the face. How can you possibly deny this now? Yet, you do not panic even a little bit. That calm, careless smirk never leaves your face. In the next second, you pull a USB drive right out of your pocket. In your past life, your brother framed you with this exact scheme, leaving you completely defenseless. But this time around, you prepared way in advance. Before the Sterlings even kicked you out, Your hacking skills secured a backup. You never actually expected to use it. Ignoring their shocked faces, you plug the drive straight into the computer and hit play. But watch closely, this footage tells a completely different story. Right after you left, another woman sneaks into Celeste's lab. Malachi's heart completely stops at the sight. How is this possible? He was sure the rest of that footage was deleted. But he had absolutely no clue that you made a backup long before this moment. Watching their stunned reactions, you slam the pause button and zoom right in on the woman's face. It is Valeria, and she is clearly holding a jar of that stolen face cream. The Sterling family gasps in absolute shock, faces pale. Suddenly, the entire villa drops into a heavy, dead silence. After a long, tense silence, you speak up with a bitter smile. You mention that your third sister seemed exhausted and kept rubbing her eyes. Not wanting to bother her, you just brought in some special tea to help her tired eyes. How did a simple act of kindness get twisted into a flat-out theft? Instantly, the entire family turns to Malachi, their expressions a mix of confusion and growing suspicion. He sweats profusely, stammering and completely unable to find an excuse. Suddenly, the sisters start firing questions at Malachi one after another. But right then, Father Sterling barks out an exhausted sigh. Enough. Why are you all cornering Malachi like this? He just returned to our family. What does he even know about surveillance, cameras, or tech? It was just a simple mistake since he missed the rest of the clip and wrongly accused Caspian. Seeing his father shield him, Malachi's racing heart slowly begins to calm down. Taking the chance, he quickly speaks up. Dad, I was totally wrong about this. I promise to be more careful next time. Staring at his fake face, you just scoff and deliver a cold reality check. Here is where he finally pays up. Malachi, you lost the bet. Now, you do not just owe me an apology, you need to turn yourself in. Hearing this, Father Sterling looks at you with absolute shock and confusion. It was just a misunderstanding. Do you seriously have to be this cruel and unforgiving? I know what kind of boy Malachi is. How could he frame you? For the past 2 years, you are the one who constantly targeted him. You think he stole all our love and affection, so you wanted him gone from this family. Of course, you expected he would take your brother's side. After all, you were only the adopted son. So you close your eyes, letting go of any lingering love for this family. When you open them, your eyes are completely cold. Whatever, you say, I only came back for the household register. I will never set foot in this house again. Hearing this, Father Sterling glares at you, furious that you are being so incredibly stubborn. Fine, you think you can survive on your own now. I will go grab it. Do not come crawling back when you get into trouble. With that, Father Sterling storms back to his room. Right then, all 4 sisters step up and start speaking. They tell you Dad is just angry, urging you to apologize so things can go back to normal. But you know there is no going back. Soon, Father Sterling returns with the document in hand. Suddenly, Malachi starts putting on a shaky, tearful voice. He acts totally heartbroken, telling Father Sterling that it is all his fault and begging him not to fight because of him. Seeing Malachi act so selflessly, Father Sterling shields him even harder, giving you a fierce, stubborn glare. Grabbing the register, you take one final look at this family and walk away. Let it all end. Over 20 years of being raised by them ends right now. The eldest sister calls out your name, but it is completely useless. Why are you calling him back? Did he not swear to cut ties with us just yesterday? Let him leave. Let that ungrateful son go, Father Sterling yells, his eyes completely red. Behind their father, Malachi lets out a triumphant, cold smirk. Once you get back to the car, you look gently at Serafina. You apologize for the wait. She clearly senses the heavy mood, but decides not to pry. She just quietly leans against your chest. Soon, you arrive at the registry office. Serafina, let me carry you. Before she can even reply, you lift Serafina up into a steady, gentle princess carry. Serafina was always pretty cold and fiercely independent, treating almost all men like dangerous beasts. Yet, toward you, her warmth was completely different, making the marriage registry staff smile warmly the moment you walked in. The clerk quickly welcomes Miss Chu and Mr. Caspian, asking for your documents to finalize the marriage certificates. With a heavy thud, the ink stamps slam down. Holding the paper with slightly trembling fingers, Serafina softly whispers that you have to take responsibility and never leave her. You gently pull her close, cradling her back while carefully protecting her injured legs. Overjoyed, you promise to cherish her not just in this lifetime, but forever, through every single life to come. A rare, beautiful smile finally graces Serafina's lips, completely melting away her usual icy exterior in an instant. Meanwhile, her anxious bodyguard sweats buckets, worrying about her lady's badly hurt legs. She warns Caspian to be gentle before the entire group finally heads back to the Chu family villa. This official marriage means you have successfully completed the mysterious god's mission at last. Right then, your phone suddenly buzzes. It is a reward. It is beginner medical skills. And suddenly, A massive wave of knowledge floods your mind. Your mind clears completely, and you realize you have fully mastered medicine. Now check this out, you rush straight to Serafina's bedroom, hoping this new power can finally cure her. Inside, a personal doctor is actively treating her. Stepping inside, you catch sight of her fair, slender legs, which still look incredibly stunning despite the injuries. But something is terribly wrong. Dozens of silver acupuncture needles are pierced deep into her skin. Serafina tries to hide it, but her furrowed brows and sweaty forehead betray the intense pain. Your heart breaks instantly. Right then, she catches you staring. Startled, she quickly whispers to her bodyguard to block your view and lead Caspian out of the room. But before anyone can move, you push past and walk straight up to your wife. You gently ask if it hurts, and just hearing your voice makes her agony fade completely away. She whispers back that she is fine and tells you not to worry. Looking at her with deep heartache, you tell her she does not need to hide her pain anymore. You ask if she trusts you, whispering in her ear that you can fully heal her legs. Without a single second of hesitation, Serafina nods and says she trusts you completely. She immediately orders the dumbfounded doctor to pull the needles out and leave the room immediately. Her bodyguard is completely shocked, frantically stepping forward to stop Serafina from doing this. The bodyguard begs her to stop, saying Caspian is no professional and they need the doctor. Besides, there is barely any time left. Look at that glare, Serafina raises her cold eyes, ordering the doctor to get out right now. Realizing her mistress is acting purely on blind love, the bodyguard's eyes turn red with sheer frustration. She glares at you, snapping that ordinary doctors cannot heal these legs, let alone an amateur like you. You calmly reply that you would never risk Serafina's safety and actually can heal her. Her legs have deep internal damage, meaning acupuncture is completely useless and only causes more pain. After explaining, you check Serafina's pulse and gently examine the injured areas. Instantly formulating a plan, you grab some paper and quickly write down a list of specific herbs. You hand it over, asking her to buy the exact amounts listed. Firmly telling her to hurry, you leave the furious bodyguard with absolutely no room to argue. She turns to Serafina, desperately hoping her lady will talk some actual sense into you. But Serafina barely even looks up, coldly asking why she hasn't left to get the herbs yet. Gritting her teeth, the bodyguard storms out, leaving you to gently massage Serafina's clogged meridians. The massage hurts, but Serafina does not even flinch, keeping her eyes locked onto yours with pure, endless affection. Soon after, the bodyguard returns to the bedroom, carrying all the requested herbs. The herbs are boiled in order according to the recipe, and finally the medicinal brew is poured into a foot bath. Gently placing Serafina's legs inside the warm liquid, she quickly drifts off into a deep, exhausted sleep before the session even ends. Her bodyguard just stands there, staring at the sleeping girl with absolute, utter shock. Looking back at you, her hostility drops just a bit, though she still cannot swallow her pride as she coldly asks what exactly you gave her mistress. The young lady has horrible sleep issues, and even heavy sleeping pills rarely let her rest this deeply. Demanding to know how you did it, you just casually glance at the bodyguard and give her a mysterious smile, telling her to guess. The very next day, you head to a jewelry store to find a wedding gift for Serafina, quickly spotting a simple but incredibly stylish necklace. Under the bright lights, it shimmers with a rippling blue glow, looking just like a calm lake at sunset or scattered stars in the night. Radiating a completely unique beauty, you do not even hesitate before buying it right on the spot. But get this, just as you start heading out the door, Beatrice spots you instantly and tries to greet you with a fake smile. But you walk right past her without even sparing her a single glance. Her smile immediately freezes. Angry, she spits at your retreating back, calling you a worthless fake young master nobody wants. Who does he think he is? Acting so incredibly arrogant. But then Beatrice gets an idea, quickly running over to the clerk to demand what you bought, only to learn it was the expensive Sturcy necklace. When she eagerly asks for the price, the clerk hesitates before revealing it cost 5.2 million. Hearing that massive number, Beatrice mutters jealously that even a fallen rich guy still has more money than normal people. She immediately grabs her phone and texts Valeria, bragging that Caspian bought a $5.2 million necklace meant just for her. Reading the text, that arrogant Valeria actually believes the lie completely. She throws her head back, laughing smugly and thinking that explains all the crazy drama he has been causing lately. She figures he is just trying to surprise her, proving he is still totally wrapped around her little finger. Back at the Chu family villa, you decide to clean up and change into a sharp suit to surprise Serafina. But before you can even finish showering, the bodyguard rolls Serafina right into your bedroom. And talk about terrible timing of all the moments, Valeria decides to call your phone right then and there. Spotting the name flashing on the screen, Serafina's eyes turn ice cold, a dark red glint flashing deep within her gaze. She instantly hangs up, but just 10 seconds later, the phone starts ringing all over again. Fighting to suppress the dark, possessive urge screaming inside her, Serafina decides to answer the call herself. On the other end, Valeria uses her most annoying, flirtatious voice, asking if he has something to say to her. Serafina stays dead silent, her grip on the phone tightening so hard she is literally about to crush the device. Valeria happily claims she knows all about the $5.2 million necklace, assuming his time with the other woman was just a game. She asks if he was just trying to make her jealous and get her attention. Asking why he is silent, she offers to visit, but Serafina coldly snaps that he will not see her. Ignoring her response entirely, Serafina squeezes the phone until the screen completely shatters, sitting quietly on the couch. When you finally step out, she keeps her eyes down, her expression dark, unreadable, and chillingly distant. Greeting her warmly, you walk over and gently take her hand, immediately asking why they feel so incredibly cold. Worried, you quickly hold her freezing hands against your chest, trying to warm them up with your own body heat. Letting you do what you want, she just stares at you with deep, pitch-black eyes that seem completely devoid of life. Sensing that something is deeply wrong, you anxiously ask if she is feeling sick or uncomfortable. Without a word, she reaches up and slowly places her hand right against your neck. For a second she wants to squeeze, but she cannot bring herself to hurt you, quietly asking if you are still talking to Valeria. Forcing down the dark thoughts swirling inside her, she sounds perfectly calm, making you frown as you explain you blocked her long ago. You ask why she is bringing her up, but Serafina just lifts her head, her eyes looking blank and empty. She wants to scream and demand the truth, or tell you to just leave forever if you hate her this much. She wants to set you free, but she is too terrified of what will happen if she lets those words out. The precious treasure she fought so hard to finally obtain would slip right through her fingers. Seeing her remain silent, you call her name again, making her look away with a deeply conflicted gaze. She finally realized that in this life, she could never actually let you go. Honestly, just the mere thought of losing you made her chest ache with 1,000 sharp pains. Then she says coldly, nothing. I accidentally dropped and broke your phone just now. I already got you a new one. You did not care about the device, but somehow you felt Serafina was acting quite weird. Just as you try to get some answers, Serafina abruptly turns her back on you, muttering that she has work and needs to leave. Before you can even blink, she claps her hands to summon her guard. The female bodyguard immediately marches in, pushing her wheelchair out of the room. But right before they walk out, the bodyguard gives you a pretty nasty glare, leaving you totally confused. What is her problem anyway? It is only after she leaves that you realize you forgot to give her that gift. You were so incredibly worried about her state of mind that the whole thing just totally slipped your memory. Whatever. You will just give it to her tonight. After a quick cleanup around the house, you head straight to the office for your shift. Cut to the top floor of Zenith Corp, where Serafina sits silently in her wheelchair, staring blankly out the window. Her jaw is clenched tight, fighting back some seriously heavy emotions, when her bodyguard walks in to announce that Valeria has arrived. And by now, she is about to bump into Caspian. The second those words leave her mouth, the bodyguard feels the room temperature drop by 2 degrees. What you had no clue about was that right before you left, Serafina saw a text message from Valeria on your phone. She texted saying she knows you only dated that girl to make her jealous, and she is coming to see you. Total landmine. If you actually get back with Valeria, Serafina will literally lose her mind. If things go too far, she might snap and go on a total rampage. A dark, dangerous look flashes across her eyes as she speaks in a completely emotionless voice. Take me out there, she orders. I want to see what they are up to. Soon enough, you walk through the lobby doors. Suddenly, a super strong whiff of cheap perfume hits you right in the face from behind. You turn around to find Valeria, all dolled up in high heels, acting like a delicate, helpless princess. Why are you here? You ask with a scowl. But Valeria puts on this incredibly fake, high-pitched baby voice and stomps her foot, whining about why you look so mad. She claims she is just here to see you, bringing lunch because it is eating time. Opening a fancy lunchbox to show off the food, she conveniently makes sure you spot the fresh bandages wrapped around her hand. Of course, she just bought the meal from some restaurant, and the bandage is purely a trick to win your sympathy. She knows you have always been way too soft-hearted. Seeing her supposedly burn herself just to feed you is supposed to make your heart melt. Valeria originally wanted to keep ignoring you to save her pride, but hearing Serafina answer your phone earlier drove her into a total frenzy. In her mind, she can hate and humiliate you, but you still are not allowed to belong to anyone else. And guess who is watching this entire train wreck unfold from a safe distance? Yep, her poor bodyguard is practically shivering to death from the pure rage radiating off Serafina. Meanwhile, you just stare at this scheming girl, raise an eyebrow, grab the lunchbox, and ask her one simple question. Did you actually cook this? She nods instantly, whining about how she hurt her hand just for you. Before she can even finish her sentence, you flick your wrist and slam the lunchbox straight onto the floor, scattering food everywhere. With zero guilt, You smirk and ask if this garbage is even fit for human consumption. It looks terrible, smells awful, and probably tastes worse. Your skin is seriously thick enough to fry up as leather. Just like that, the smug look on Valeria's face completely freezes. She is desperately trying to choke back her absolute rage to argue, but you drop another massive bomb before she can speak. Now that I am completely sick of you, you crawl back acting like a victim and using some fake injury to win my pity. Seriously, are you this shameless? Hearing this makes Valeria's temples throb with violent rage. She is absolutely screaming in her head, cursing Caspian out as the spoiled eldest daughter of her family. How dare the guy who used to spoil his childhood sweetheart call her a cheap girl now? Nearby, her bodyguard is secretly cracking up. Even though Serafina kept quiet, that icy tension on her face started to melt away. Caspian, how can you be so cruel when my hand got hurt all because of you? Valeria's face twisted with pure rage as she whined, but you just stared back coldly, asking if she really expected you to fix her hand. How about I just chop it off instead, a clean, quick amputation? It is better to end the pain now so you never have to worry about getting hurt again. Watch her face freeze as you flash a terrifying, wicked smile that makes her blood run cold. She never expected this tone from the same man who used to pamper her like a princess for years as his childhood sweetheart. You cast a brief, annoyed glance her way, totally done wasting any more precious seconds on her. Honestly, Valeria, whether your hand is broken or your brain is completely fried, what does that have to do with me? So get out of my sight right now, before I actually lose my temper. Staring at your cold face, she boiled with absolute fury. Stepping forward with a sigh, she grabbed your arm and aggressively tried to press her body against yours. Tearfully, she begged you, asking if you were really going to keep making this huge mistake. She admitted she was toxic in the past, but claimed she was changing, promising that if you just apologized and coaxed her a bit, she would take you back, even if you messed around with that other girl. She offered to listen to your explanation, but before she could finish, she shrieked. She slammed onto the hard floor as you shoved her away in disgust, showing absolutely no sympathy for her pretty face. Your eyes held only freezing malice as you warned Valeria one final time. The engagement is completely over and I feel absolutely nothing for you, so stop flattering yourself. Get lost before I get physical, because my patience has hit its limit. Ignoring her completely, you ripped off the jacket she touched, tossing it aside as if it were covered in some disgusting plague. It hit the dirt with a loud thud, leaving her crying in absolute despair and utter disbelief. She sobbed, asking how you could possibly keep lying to yourself like this. After loving her for so many years, she could not comprehend how you suddenly changed. Desperately, she asked if that other woman was threatening you or forcing your hand. She whined that she was the same girl you loved, the one you promised to protect and cherish forever. How could you say such incredibly painful words just to break her heart? She weakly bit her lip, holding her hand out like a princess acting entitled. In your past life, you sacrificed literally everything for her, yet she never appreciated it, running off to hook up with Malachi instead. They even plotted to have you killed, and remembering that erased any trace of sympathy. And just like that, you shove her face first into the dirt, talk about some satisfying instant karma. Without even sparing her a glance, you coldly turned and walked away, a move that completely caught Serafina off guard. A tiny smile began creeping onto her face. Playing it cool, she ordered her guard to get moving and have the security team informed immediately. From this moment on, Valeria is banned from setting foot anywhere near here. The bodyguard sighed with relief, having been terrified that her boss would absolutely lose her mind upon seeing Valeria. Luckily, it was a false alarm, but a panicked Valeria still screamed for Caspian to stop. "Freeze right there," she yelled, "because I know you still care about me deep down." She swore you would regret this. By the time you finished work and headed to the Chu family villa, night had already fallen. Just as you reached the front door, a massive downpour suddenly slammed down out of nowhere, giving nobody time to react as blinding lightning tore across the dark sky, closely followed by thunder. Your fourth sister should still be working at the hospital, right? The thought hit you instantly. For as long as you remembered, she was petrified of storms. You usually drove over to pick her up in this kind of terrible weather, but right at that second, the old butler came sprinting out of the villa. He screamed frantically, telling you that the young miss was in serious trouble and to get inside quickly. That sentence snaps you right back to reality. Instantly, your face drops and your expression turns deadly serious. There is no time to ask for details as you sprint frantically straight toward Serafina's room. Before you can even reach the door, a blood-curdling shriek echoes from inside. Your eyes twitch, and you immediately burst right in. The bedroom is a total disaster zone, with shattered debris scattered everywhere. Serafina looks like something triggered a massive breakdown. Eyes bloodshot, she holds a jagged shard in one hand while her other hand chokes her female bodyguard. Her white dress is stained with bright, fresh blood, making her look incredibly terrifying. Two private doctors lie motionless on the floor while terrified maids huddle nearby, all of them sporting bloody injuries. You have never, ever seen Serafina lose control like this before. It freezes you right in your tracks. Right behind you, the butler catches up. Seeing the horror, his legs give out and he collapses onto the floor, muttering in pure shock that she was totally fine just a moment ago. How could she lose her mind so fast? The butler panics. It is over. What do we do? Meanwhile, the female bodyguard is suffocating under Serafina's grip, her face turning a deep, painful red. That sharp glass in Serafina's hand repeatedly slashes the guard's forehead, quickly splitting the skin and drawing a stream of blood. She tries to fight back, but Serafina's hand is like solid iron, completely impossible to break free from. Barely hanging on, she wheezes out for the mist to calm down, reminding her she is just her bodyguard. As the thunder rumbles louder, she seems to lose all grip on reality. Look at her eyes, she is completely gone. Her gaze is filled with a terrifying, bloodthirsty rage, like an unstoppable demon freshly escaped straight from hell. She glares at her own bodyguard, as if she is staring down a hated, lifelong mortal enemy. Give him back, she screams out. Why did you steal him, when I finally found him and got so close? She yells that anyone trying to stop her must disappear. In a split second, Serafina raises the sharp shard with all her might, aiming a deadly blow straight for the bodyguard's skull. The guard squeezes her eyes shut in terror, but a broad shoulder suddenly blocks the strike, making her eyes fly open. It is actually you, Caspian, taking the brutal hit instead. The sharp glass rips straight through your hand, blood pouring out rapidly, but you barely flinch as you ask her what is wrong. Ignoring your own bleeding wound, you pull Serafina into a tight embrace, leaving everyone in the room completely terrified. They scream that Caspian is insane, and tell the butler to pull you away before she accidentally kills you. But before the butler can even step forward, you speak with absolute, unwavering calm. Gently patting her back, you whisper that you are right here and will never leave her side, so she can stop being afraid. Before she can even process it, you lean in and kiss her. Somehow, she recognizes your familiar scent. Her tense, struggling body slowly begins to relax, and her hand holding the glass piece drops to her side. This bold move leaves the onlookers completely speechless. Seizing the moment while she is dazed and whispering, you act quickly. You flick a silver needle directly into her acupoint with perfect precision. Instantly, Serafina passes out and her limp body falls completely into your arms. Finally letting out a quiet sigh of relief, you gently brush her hair aside and whisper that everything will be fine. You carry her back to the bed, glancing over at the badly shaken, traumatized female bodyguard. You instruct her to change Serafina's clothes and treat her visible cuts. After a quick moment of thought, you head toward the door, prompting the guard to wipe the blood from her face and ask where you are going. You explain that you need to write up a special medical prescription. Her sudden mental collapse is quite likely triggered by severe chronic insomnia, or perhaps she suffered intense trauma from a past storm exactly like this one. If these episodes continue, it will be incredibly difficult for her paralyzed legs to ever fully recover. Hearing your diagnosis, the female bodyguard hesitates before bluntly telling you not to forget to have the butler treat the deep wound on your own arm. She immediately looks down, too embarrassed to meet your gaze, and focuses solely on patching up Serafina. Even so, her hands are visibly shaking. You just offer a warm smile before heading out into the hall. Meanwhile, the fourth sister is shivering inside her fancy sports car, completely stalled out on a heavily flooded road in the pouring rain. Outside the car window, thunder boomed, sending Era into an absolute panic. She was deathly afraid of lightning, and right then, Caspian's face flashed in her mind. He was always the one rescuing her in storms like this. But her pride won out, and she called Malachi instead, begging him to come to the Kungun intersection and get her. Her sports car was flooded, but Malachi dismissed her, saying he was busy with an important project. He said their dad needed it done immediately, told her to just wait out the storm, and hung up because he was too busy. With that, he cut the line. Era clutched her phone, tears of betrayal welling up in her eyes. She stared at Caspian's number, her finger trembling over the screen, but her pride stopped her from calling him. But watch what happened next. A massive crack of thunder shook the car, making her flinch and hit dial. The call went through. Meanwhile, Caspian was in his room, writing up a prescription to calm Serafina's wild, berserk state. Suddenly, his phone buzzed on the desk. Seeing his fourth sister's name on the caller ID, he paused, hesitating. But he picked up anyway, asking her what she wanted in a pretty cold, distant voice. That icy tone broke her. Choking back tears, she cried out that she was trapped at Cocoon intersection with a dead car. Caspian just raised an eyebrow, telling her she should be calling her actual, blood-related brother, not him. He reminded her he was no longer a Sterling, especially since none of them ever believed him, and hung up before she could explain. Gasping Caspian's name, Era closed her eyes in sheer agony, as tears finally spilled over. It took 20 long minutes for her to stop shaking, staring out at the relentless, pounding rain outside. Realizing the rising water would soon make the car unsafe, she grabbed her keys, braced herself, and stepped out into the storm. Forcing herself through her panic, she slowly waded forward. The freezing floodwater soaked her feet, and her thin clothes offered absolutely zero protection against the bitter chill. Luckily, she spotted an open convenience store nearby, quickly slipping inside to stand shivering and awkward in the corner. Right then, she noticed 3 men hanging around the back, clutching half-empty beer bottles while staring at her with creepy, leering eyes. Instantly, her entire body went rigid. In a matter of minutes, her mind raced with every single terrifying scenario of what they might do to her. And then you knew this was coming. The 3 drunkards started stepping toward her, clutching their bottles as absolute terror seized her. Just as she was about to scream, a warm, familiar hand grabbed hers, wrapping protectively around her shoulders. "Don't be afraid," a deep voice murmured. "I'm here." Aura's heart leaped, and she spun her head around. The moment she saw Caspian's handsome face, her walls crumbled, and she threw herself into his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. She cried out that she was so terrified, thinking he would never speak to her again. Holding her close, Caspian glared at the 3 drunk men, his dark eyes radiating pure, icy menace. The 3 men were drunk, but one look from Caspian instantly scared away most of their alcohol-fueled courage. They quickly looked away and slunk off in defeat. Once they were gone, Caspian gently patted her shoulder. He told her to head to his car so he could drive her home, even draping his own warm jacket over her shoulders. She followed right behind him, still looking completely dazed and out of it. Only after getting in the warm car did she calm down, softly thanking Caspian and admitting she didn't know what would have happened without him. She trailed off, still visibly shaken by the near miss. While lingering fear danced in her eyes, Caspian's expression remained completely blank as he spoke with a cold distance. He claimed he was only there to return the Sterling family register, and that saving her was a complete coincidence. But Era knew his true nature. He acted cold on the outside, but he was actually kinder than anyone. Hesitating, she couldn't stop herself from advising him, pleading that no matter what conflicts he had with the Sterling family, it was still his home. Even though he had made mistakes in the past, she promised that if he just apologized to Malachi and their parents, they would forgive him, and she'd help him too. Caspian cut her off with a bitter sneer, asking if he was the one who erred, or if Malachi framed him. Era frowned, genuinely wanting to help as she tried to reason with him. She claimed he only hated Malachi because he felt pushed aside when he returned, but pleaded that they were still both her younger brothers. "Enough," Caspian snapped, impatience flashing across his face. Even if he explained it 1,000 times, they would never believe Malachi framed him. Ignoring Era's stunned reaction entirely, "You made your move." With a grim look, you slammed the gas. "Caspian, I am just worried about you," Era tried to plead, but you coldly cranked up the radio. The blasting music, silence filled the car. The second Era got out, you shoved the household register straight into her hands. Without waiting for her to speak, you sped off in a cloud of dust, not even looking back. Era wanted to return your jacket, but looking up, you were already gone. Looking closer, she gasped. The jacket sleeve was heavily stained with fresh spots of blood. What happened? Was Caspian hurt? Meanwhile, you finally made it back to the Chu villa and checked your arm. Your messy, quick bandage had split open, soaking the white gauze in fresh, warm blood. Before you could even find someone to bandage it, your female bodyguard rushed up. Out of breath, she asked where on earth you had gone. "The young miss is awake and looking for you. Go inside quick." Suddenly, a suffocating panic gripped your chest. Ignoring your bleeding arm, you desperately rushed straight inside Serafina's bedroom. She looked incredibly pale. Her long eyelashes cast shadows that hid whatever dark thoughts were running through her head. Stepping inside, you softly called her name, "Serafina." She kept her head down, asking in a flat voice where you went. Seeing her awake let you breathe a small sigh of relief. Sitting down beside her, you confessed you had gone back to the Sterling family. Hearing that name, her knuckles turned white as she clenched her fists tightly. She assumed you had seen her terrifying side earlier, gotten scared, and tried to run away. Thinking of losing, you made her chest ache. Suddenly, Serafina grabbed your wrist. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "Caspian, it is far too late. Since you agreed to be mine, you can never escape. Even if you die, your ashes must stay beside me." This shocking, obsessive declaration took you a moment to process. You can feel the heavy tension as 3 seconds tick by in total silence. Instead of running, you relaxed, looking at her with absolute certainty and a face full of deep, gentle affection. Softly stroking her hair, you asked what she was worrying about. Fourth sister was in trouble, so you stepped out. "Even in death, you will never leave." Your heart belonged only to her. These warm words hit her like a wave, making her heart beat wildly. But right after that beautiful moment, she caught the faint, metallic scent of blood. Before she could dwell on it, you pulled the necklace from your pocket and fastened it around her neck under her stunned gaze. "Happy wedding day, my wife." Leaning close, you whispered the words in a deep, magnetic voice. Instantly, her heart skipped a beat. Every ounce of suspicion vanished from her eyes, replaced entirely by stunned realization. She honestly believed you had purchased it for Valeria. Now, realizing it was always for her, she still needed to hear you say it. Was it really for her? You smiled, asking who else you would possibly buy gifts for besides your wife. You playfully pinched her cheek. For once, a trace of pure confusion broke through her cold, heavily guarded expression. But wait, right as she opens her mouth, her eyes catch something unexpected. She spots the dark blood stains on your shirt, and her smile instantly freezes as terrifying memories flood back. She was the one who hurt you. Guilt and horror fill her eyes as her pale face begins to tremble. Seeing her panic, you instantly realized what was running through her head. Hiding your arm behind your back, you quickly assured her that it only looked bad. Instead, she gently pressed her soft lips right beside your open wound and deep heartache, sending a massive shockwave straight through your body. Whispering her name, she looked up with a sharp, commanding gaze, telling you not to move. She wants the doctor to bandage it immediately. If she loses control again, just knock her out. You could only stare at her, breathing heavily. The corners of her eyes were still flushed a soft pink. Her lips bore a smudge of your blood, making her look breathtakingly beautiful until the butler finally finished bandaging you up. Early the next morning, your phone rang. It was Barnaby, the assistant at Zenith Corporation. The Sterling family had already dispatched Malachi to the office, claiming he wanted to negotiate a major project collaboration with us. Barnaby asks you in a quiet voice if you want to meet him. Hearing this, you just let out a cold smirk. Finally, the moment has arrived. Sure, I will see him, you say, but make him wait. Tell him to sit tight, and I will go over in a bit. Barnaby immediately gets the game plan and nods. Meanwhile, completely unbothered, you take your sweet time eating a nice lunch, enjoy a peaceful nap, and finally stroll over to the Zenith offices. Meanwhile, poor Malachi sits in the waiting room for the entire afternoon. He does not see the CEO, or literally anyone else. Just as he is about to absolutely lose his mind from waiting, the secretary finally leads him inside. But stepping through the door, he completely freezes. A middle-aged man sits in the big chair. Flanked by massive bodyguards in black suits, the whole room feels incredibly tense. They definitely do not look like they came here to sign contracts. It feels a lot more like a setup for a beatdown. Behind the two-way glass, you watch his every move. Swallowing his panic, Malachi forces a shaky smile and asks if he is speaking to the Zenith CEO. He offers to pitch the Sterling family proposal first, but before he can even finish, Barnaby cuts him off with a hand wave. Hold on, he says, I do not care about your pitch, but honestly, you look exactly like someone I absolutely despise. If you want this deal, drop to your knees right now and slap yourself in the face 100 times. Do that first, and then we will talk. Hearing this, Malachi freezes solid in his tracks. It takes him a long 12 seconds to recover, before saying that if President Yan is not serious, he will leave. He turns to walk out, but Barnaby stops him cold. What if your father found out you went behind his back, stole family company secrets, sold them to us, and pinned it all on Caspian? How do you think he would react to that? Instantly, Malachi begins shaking like a leaf. He has absolutely no idea how he managed to cross a powerful man like Barnaby. He slowly turns, pale as a ghost. What are you talking about? I do not understand. But Barnaby stays dead silent, just staring at him with a cold, mocking smirk. That silent look completely breaks his confidence. Deep down, he knows he cannot afford to anger Zenith Corp right now. Swallowing his rage, he forces a tight, desperate smile. President Yan, I was way too hasty. I will kneel, I will bow, I will slap my own face, whatever you want. Just please sign this contract. Right after he says this, Barnaby takes the document from his trembling hands and immediately pulls out a pen to sign his name. Just look at this guy. He actually starts grinning like he just won the lottery. Without hesitation, he drops to his knees and starts slapping his own face. The massive bodyguards stand over him with a sound meter, counting each hit. If he goes soft, they slap him themselves. It takes 2.5 painful minutes for him to finally reach 100 slaps. By then, his entire face is bruised, swollen, and dripping blood. Every single ounce of his usual smug arrogance is completely gone. Gasping for air, he stumbles to his feet and asks if he can finally get out. Not so fast, Barnaby smiles, giving him a cold look. Why don't you meet our actual chairman, Sterling, before you take off? Right on cue, the heavy office doors are suddenly kicked wide open. Now watch this. Slow, mocking applause suddenly rings out, paired with a freezing laugh. Malachi freezes solid. He stares directly at you in pure horror, his brain screaming as his worst nightmare comes to life. But he quickly shakes off the panic, puffing out his chest. Caspian, I know what is going on here. You were just trying to get a basic entry-level job, right? Well, I am a partner now. One word from me, and President Yan kicks you out. He desperately turns to Barnaby to plead his case. President Yan, Caspian got kicked out of the Sterling family. You do not need to show this nobody any respect at all. You should throw him out, but you just smirk, turning to look at the nervous Barnaby standing right next to you. Hear that? You ask? He wants you to fire me. Instantly, the powerful President Yan bows deeply, looking completely terrified. Chairman Sterling, you must be playing a joke on me. I would never dare. Malachi stumbles backward in pure confusion, his brain completely breaking at the sight. Before he can even process this, you give him exactly 7 days. Confess everything to the family, admit you framed me, and tell them the absolute truth. Do that, and maybe I will show mercy. Furious, Malachi glares at you with absolute hatred. How dare you try to threaten me? I don't even know how you suddenly became chairman of Sterling, but you are just a paper tiger. You will be exposed sooner or later, and I'm telling father. Just wait and see if he ever forgives you. Malachi snaps, his face twisting with sheer, unadulterated rage. Are you really still this incredibly stupid? You simply point a finger toward the blinking red light on the ceiling, and Malachi's pupils instantly shrink in sheer horror. Only then does he notice the flashing security camera overhead, realizing you teamed up with President Yan just to bait him. Pure resentment floods his eyes, but a sly smirk quickly returns as he sneers that he already signed the contract anyway. Even if he made mistakes, father will forgive him, he claims, making you burst out laughing on the spot. An assistant's signature has zero legal power, you point out. A simple truth that hits Malachi like a devastating bomb. He turns completely pale with fear, instinctively glancing over at Barnaby standing right behind you. He gets it now. He has been played. Malachi desperately grips the useless contract in his hand. If this deal is invalid, it is nothing but absolute trash. You can literally see the dread creeping onto his face. Snapping completely, Malachi grabs a heavy glass ashtray from the desk and hurls it directly at your head. But just an inch away from your skull, Barnaby steps in with a blindingly fast, effortless kick. Malachi crashes hard onto the floor, knocked out completely cold. You hand off the remaining details to Barnaby and head home. By 6 p.m., you are back home, personally cooking a massive 4-dish meal with soup for Serafina. When her bodyguard wheels Serafina in, she stares at the massive spread with a cold, piercing gaze, asking why you even dared to cook. Completely missing her icy mood, you just smile and happily set out the bowls and chopsticks. You tell her it's your first time cooking for her, promising to make whatever she wants next time if she just lets you know. Sensing the heavy tension, the female bodyguard takes one quick look and quietly slips out of the room. You sit there, silently watching Serafina eat with her head kept down. Her face is completely blank, forcing you to set your chopsticks down and ask if she's unhappy. Serafina suddenly freezes, slowly raising her eyes to glare at you with a gaze colder than ice. After a heavy silence, she drops a bomb. Valeria sent you a text. You suddenly remember she still has your old phone. Earlier, your sister tried calling, but you had already blocked her everywhere. Since you blocked Valeria on every social media app, standard text messages were literally her absolute last option. Snapping back to reality, you chuckle softly and lean in close to Serafina. With your faces inches apart, you tease, "What did she say?" Serafina remains frozen, a dangerous flash of anger deep in her eyes. She wants to meet you tonight at 8 p.m., at the Blue Mountain Cafe. She says she misses you terribly, Serafina whispers, her chilling voice making the temperature in the room plummet instantly. So, are you actually going to go? Seeing her get this jealous gives you a strange, satisfying rush, and you do not hesitate. Of course I am going. The very second those words leave your mouth, the heavy table under Serafina's hand suddenly cracks loud. The solid marble table starts splintering inch by inch right before your eyes, making you gulp and offer a quick, nervous smile. It is not what you think, you explain quickly. I am actually taking you to watch a spectacular show. Exactly 2 hours later, inside the cozy Blue Mountain Cafe, Valeria sits waiting on the sofa. Nervously stirring her coffee, she looks around the room with growing anxiety. But just as she checks her phone and starts to complain about the delay, someone suddenly taps her shoulder from behind. Valeria whips around with an incredibly sweet, charming smile, eagerly calling out Caspian's name. But the words instantly die in her throat before she can even finish. Honestly, you have to love the look of absolute shock, as her excited smile completely freezes solid. She gasps out, "Malachi, why are you here, and why is your face so swollen?" She even reaches out to touch his bruised cheek, but Malachi instantly slaps her hand away, scoffing loudly with a fake, icy smile plastered on his bruised face. His eyes are filled with absolute frost as he mockingly asks if she is disappointed. Valeria desperately tries to hide her mounting panic, forcing a calm expression and pretending to pout in annoyance. "You have some nerve," she mutters. "I thought you were so busy with work you completely forgot about me." But Malachi only sneers coldly, asking if that is why she came running to Caspian. The moment those words left her mouth, Valeria went pale. Before she could even scramble for an excuse, Malachi slammed his phone right onto the table, his face twisted in pure rage. "Stop with the pathetic excuses," he sneered. "Caspian already forwarded the exact text you sent him straight to my phone." He leaned in close. "Valeria, are you seriously this desperate that even a loser like Caspian catches your eye?" Her heart sank instantly. Valeria never in a million years imagined that you would actually forward her secret text directly to Malachi. "Do you think I wanted this?" she pleaded. "I did every single bit of it for you. You told me you wanted to destroy Caspian, so I had to play along and act as bait to trap him. Otherwise, why would I ever look at him?" But Malachi was not buying this pathetic act for a single second. He just stared at her with complete mockery. "Stop trying to blame me for your trashy moves. I think you are still secretly obsessed with that bastard. In that text, you did not just confess your love. You also took the chance to trash talk me. Do you really think I am that stupid?" Hearing this, Valeria clenched her jaws so hard her teeth literally ached. In her past life, this exact trick was how she easily reeled you in. But she never could have predicted this timeline. You publicly canceled the wedding and got with another gorgeous girl. Honestly, who doesn't love this kind of karma? She just wanted you crawling back to her like a loyal little puppy, which is exactly why she sent you that text. She never imagined you would pull a fast one on her like this. But right now, terrified of Malachi's massive wealth and power, she had to swallow her pride and put on a pitiful act, begging Malachi, "Please listen. If I do not play along, how can I get Caspian to trust me?" "You know that but before she could finish, a stunning stranger rushed right up to them. Moving with lightning speed, the mystery woman marched right up and delivered a savage slap straight to Valeria's face. The impact was so brutal she saw stars, her cheeks swelling up instantly. Everyone else in the cafe instantly turned their heads, throwing some incredibly judgy and gossipy looks at Malachi and the two dramatic women. "Who the hell are you?" she shrieked. "How dare you strike me?" Valeria had never been humiliated like this in her entire life. She grabbed her swollen face, exploding in pure rage and shouting every curse word she knew. The stranger snorted coldly. "I hit exactly who I wanted to. You are the side piece Malachi is hiding, right? Did you know I am actually his real, official girlfriend?" The moment she said that, the entire cafe stared at Valeria with absolute, unfiltered disgust. Valeria was so incredibly furious, her face literally twisted in rage. Gnashing her teeth, she glared daggers at Malachi. "What on earth is this? You are sneaking around with another woman but have the nerve to blame me?" Malachi was completely frozen in shock. "I have absolutely no idea who this woman is," he stammered. But before he could even finish explaining, she slapped him across the face too. Sobbing hysterically, the woman clutched her stomach and yelled, "You absolute, heartless piece of trash. You are actually cheating on me. I am done believing your lies. The baby is gone, and we are completely finished." She buried her face in her hands and sprinted out in tears. Panicking, Malachi desperately grabbed Valeria's arm to swear his innocence. But Valeria just spun around and smacked him hard across the mouth before running away crying herself. Talk about absolute, peak comedy. Only hours ago, you literally tricked this idiot into slapping himself 100 times. And now, he just got publicly smacked twice more. Fuming with rage, he violently screamed at the onlookers still staring. "What the hell are you all staring at?" he roared. "Look away before I rip your eyes out." He spat on the ground in disgust and turned to storm out. But the cafe owner blocked him with an icy glare. "Excuse me, sir, but you have not paid for your coffee yet. Are you trying to steal from me?" Malachi shook with absolute fury. His expression was dark enough to cause a storm, and his eyes looked like they would literally spit fire. In a car parked 200 meters away, you and Serafina sat inside watching this beautiful disaster unfold. You completely lost it and burst into hysterical laughter. Seeing you this happy, Serafina's normally cold, stoic expression softened. "Wifey, did you catch Malachi's face? It was a complete, colorful work of art." The guy looked absolutely devastated. Just then, the beautiful actress slid into your back seat. She eagerly looked at Serafina and asked if her acting was up to par. Serafina just gave her a brief glance without saying a word. Instead, she stared deep into your eyes and asked, "Do you actually feel bad for Valeria?" Your smile instantly vanished. You turned to Serafina with a dead serious expression. "Wifey, you are so stunning and incredible. How could I ever look at another woman? I freely admit my judgment used to be trash, and I made a massive mistake trusting Valeria. She didn't just plot against me over and over, she actually crawled into bed with Malachi. Honestly, I don't have even a tiny shred of sympathy left for Valeria." Seeing how completely genuine you look, Serafina's tense, worried face finally softens. Her pink lips curl up slightly as she asks a playful question. "What if I want them gone?" she asks, "and you don't hesitate at all. Then get rid of them, but maybe wait just a little bit." "I'm not done playing with them yet," you say. "Just send your guards when it's time, so you don't dirty your own hands. If you end up breaking the law and getting locked behind bars, well, that would be absolutely terrible." Listening to this, The female bodyguard up front is silently calling you every bad name in the book. Is that seriously how a decent person talks? Hearing your response, Serafina lets out a couple of soft, amused chuckles. She gently reaches out, caressing your cheek with absolute, pure adoration. Her usually cold, arrogant, and heavily guarded heart is suddenly starving for more. Caspian, do you promise to remember what you just said? As a light, sweet scent drifts over your face, your heart suddenly starts racing like crazy. Up front, the female bodyguard is barely even daring to breathe. She's screaming inside, thinking, "Miss, did you completely forget there's actually someone else in this car?" Crazy enough, your bond with Serafina totally skyrockets after that. Honestly, you're the only one catching up here, since Serafina has always been totally, hopelessly obsessed with you from the start. Even so, you can still tell she's purposely hiding her massive family background and status from you. She heads out daily for important business, never taking a break even when she's hurt. It's making you pretty curious, who exactly is this girl, and how on earth did you two actually meet in the past? 3 days later, you walk into the company and run right into Barnaby, just outside your office. Seeing him holding a massive stack of files, it suddenly hits you. Whenever you aren't around, Barnaby is pretty much the one running the entire show here. Patting his shoulder, you tell him to send out a notice because in 2 days, you are calling a major shareholders meeting. That's when I'll officially announce you as my direct, personal assistant. You'll have full power to run Zenith in my place, making all the calls, unless something extreme comes up. His heart leaps with pure excitement as he nods frantically. But right around the corner, Valeria's loudmouth best friend, Beatrice, overhears every single word. Right now, she's standing completely frozen in place. Her entire body goes numb, her face twisted in absolute, sheer disbelief. She only came up here today to drop off a highly confidential document. She was literally just about to head back down when she spotted you. She was planning to throw some nasty insults your way, but who could have guessed she'd see the powerful Barnaby bowing and scraping to please you? Remember, Barnaby used to be the big boss CEO here before stepping down. For some weird reason, he suddenly became an assistant, and rumors said a mysterious new CEO was coming. Instantly, a crazy, wild idea sparks in her head. Running straight into the stairwell, she quickly dials Valeria's number. "Valeria, you won't believe this. Believe it or not, Caspian is actually the brand new CEO of Zenith." Valeria was in a pretty grumpy mood after barely sleeping a wink last night, but hearing those words, she literally leaps and sits straight up in bed. Her voice screams high enough to shatter glass. "What did you just say? Caspian is the CEO of Zenith Corp? Are you totally sure about this? Because didn't you tell me he only went there to get a basic entry-level job?" Beatrice repeats exactly what she just witnessed, and hearing it makes Valeria completely spiral into a panic. Her chest heaves frantically as she tries to wrap her head around it. How did a useless Sterling family bastard suddenly become the president of a massive megacorporation? But soon, this clever woman realizes something else. What if he actually tracked down his biological parents, and they just handed him this entire massive Zenith corporation? The moment she thinks of this, her eyes light up with pure, bottomless greed. No matter what, she cannot let this golden ticket of a husband slip through her fingers. By the time you finish work, the sun has completely set. Checking your phone, you figure Serafina should be heading back home around now too. But the moment you step outside the building, a strong, sickly sweet perfume aggressively hits you from behind. "Caspian, you're finally done," a voice calls out. You slowly spin around, your eyes narrowing with cold, pure disgust. Valeria stands there panting, her hair messily arranged to make her look incredibly weak and fragile. She looks at you with eyes full of fake tears, completely ignoring your freezing stare as she lunges to wrap her arms around you. "Caspian, I was so wrong," she wailed, her voice shaking with fake sincerity. "After you walked away today, I spent hours thinking. I finally realized that cash, status, the Sterling family, none of it actually matters. I only want you, even if you are just some low-level worker at Zenith. I want us to be together, so let us start over." Now get this, not a single word of that fake speech actually moved you. Honestly, you almost laughed out loud at the absolute ridiculousness of it. Stepping back quickly, you let Valeria stumble forward, grabbing nothing but empty air. "Start over?" You tilted your head, a pretty mocking smirk playing on your lips. "Valeria, your acting is definitely better, but your brain is still completely empty. Did you seriously think I would not find out Beatrice called you 10 minutes ago? Caspian is the brand new CEO of Zenith Corp. Wasn't that exactly what she told you?" Valeria froze completely as if hit by lightning. Her fake tears instantly dried up, replaced by a sudden wave of uncontrollable panic. She stammered out that she had no idea what you meant, desperately trying to save face by claiming she truly came out of love. "Save it," you interrupted coldly. "In the past, I might have been foolish enough to fall for your fake innocent act, but now, just looking at you makes my stomach turn. Get out of my face before I order the security team to toss you onto the pavement. Caspian! Valeria screamed out, her facade finally cracking to reveal the greedy monster underneath. You cannot do this. You loved me for 18 whole years. You belong to me. That crippled girl you hang around only wants you for your face. I am your true childhood sweetheart. Then, whoosh, before you could even lift a hand to slap some sense into her, a sleek black Maybach suddenly screeched to a halt right at the curb. Stopping just inches from Valeria, the door flew open. A suffocating aura of pure, icy rage poured out, making the air feel absolutely freezing. A female bodyguard quickly pushed the wheelchair out. Serafina sat there, her incredibly beautiful face covered in a mask of absolute terrifying frost. Just look at the scarlet glow in her eyes, a blazing inferno of absolute, psychotic possessiveness. What did you just call me? Serafina asked softly. Yet, her voice sounded like a literal death sentence from the abyss. Staring at the woman in the wheelchair, an instinctive, primal terror instantly gripped Valeria's throat. Her legs turned to jelly, but consumed by bitter jealousy over Zenith Corp's massive wealth, she gritted her teeth. I called you a cripple, she spat. But the bodyguard did not wait for any orders. Moving like a total phantom, she slapped Valeria so hard the girl went spinning onto the dirty ground. She spat out blood and 2 broken teeth. You casually walked over, taking the handles of Serafina's wheelchair in a highly protective stance. Why did you come out here, wifey? The night air is pretty freezing. Serafina's red eyes looked at you, her killer instinct instantly melting into pure, obsessive tenderness as she whispered that you were late. Then she glared down at the pathetic Valeria on the floor, treating her like a disgusting insect. Valeria Chen, Serafina said coldly. Your family's supply chains were totally cut off an hour ago, and banks are demanding every loan back. By tomorrow morning, your precious Chen family will be officially bankrupt, buried under a debt of 3 billion. You will spend your remaining miserable years hiding from scary debt collectors deep in the slums. Valeria's eyes stretched wide in absolute, mind-shattering horror. Crawling toward you like a begging dog, she screamed for you to stop her. You stared down at her, your face completely blank. I already told you, Valeria, I have absolutely zero feelings left for you. Turning the wheelchair around, you completely ignored her painful wails and gently pushed Serafina toward the Maybach. 7 days flew by in a flash, and Malachi never once apologized. Blinded by arrogance and falsely believing his powerful father would shield him, he tried making another shady backroom deal to secure his spot in the Sterling family. He dug his own grave. On the 8th morning, you did not just hand the evidence to the cops. As Zenith's new chairman, you blasted undeniable proof of Malachi's corporate espionage everywhere. His embezzlement and malicious framing were suddenly headlining every major financial news outlet in town. The Sterling family company's stock plunged by 40% in a single hour. Cops quickly stormed the Sterling villa, dragging a screaming, sobbing Malachi out in cold handcuffs. With the massive pile of high-definition digital evidence you carefully hoarded, his fate was sealed. He is spending the next 20 years behind bars. That very night, a heavy, torrential downpour washed over the entire city once again. Looking through the security feeds of the Chu family villa, you watched Father Sterling, Mother Sterling, and your 4 sisters standing helpless outside the massive iron gates. Drenched and shivering, they cried out, holding up signs to beg for your forgiveness. They pleaded for the true son of the Sterling family to come back and save them. Even eldest sister Aurelia was on her knees. Your 4th sister kept screaming your name until she lost her voice. Father Sterling looked 20 years older, his face completely ruined by his crushing regret. Can you believe their absolute nerve? They finally realized they cast away a diamond just to protect a venomous snake. Serafina softly spoke from behind, asking if you wanted to let them inside. Without a word, you grabbed the remote and pressed a button, sending the iron window shutters rolling down to completely block the sight of your family. No, you smiled peacefully, telling her those ties were completely cut. In this lifetime, you only had one family. You turned around, walking over to Serafina, and kneeling right before her wheelchair. Gently rolling up her pant legs, you saw the terrible scars that were finally starting to fade. Then, you placed her feet into the warm, steaming medicinal bath you prepared. As your fingers massaged her acupoints, you felt a tiny, almost invisible twitch in her calf. Your breath caught. Instantly, your eyes locked onto Serafina's face. You feel it too, don't you? You whispered, your voice trembling with raw emotion. Her usually frozen face melted into a beautiful, tearful smile. Serafina reached down, her shaking fingertips brushing against your cheek. Caspian. But before she could finish her sentence, your phone on the nightstand flared with a blinding white light. System alert mission complete. Punish the wicked and protect the goddess of flames. Integration at 100%. Unlocking residual soul memories. Instantly, a wave of warmth rushed into your mind. Staring at the woman before you, everything clicked. The mysterious powers she held, her completely untraceable past, The wild desperation in her eyes whenever she feared losing you, and the blazing fire that had destroyed her in a past life just to give you this second chance. This woman was no ordinary ally. She was a soul who had shattered the boundaries of time and space, dragging herself back from the dark abyss solely for you. You remember now, don't you? Serafina asked, her voice incredibly fragile and vulnerable, as she leaned her forehead against yours. If you think I am a monster, it is already too late. I will never let you go. You wrapped your arms tightly around her waist, burying your face in her chest and inhaling her familiar scent. A monster? You chuckled softly. Your heart overflowed with a love so deep it crossed lifetimes. You are my world, Serafina, and this time, I am the one protecting you forever. Outside, the heavy storm raged on, washing away the painful wreckage of your past. But inside this room, bathed in a warm and eternal light, your new life had only just begun.